Hello there, my name is Tomas Krallo and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk all things trading, finances and money in general. Now, two things today, and number one being that we are going to be launching an affiliated program. So quite a few of you have been asking me if there are any affiliated links or whatever to my trading learning program, and there will be quite soon. So if you're looking to become my partner and if you're looking to work with me, then send me a message on Instagram or send me an email to info@tomaskrallo.com and we'll put you on the list for the affiliated program. And the second topic for today is what kind of a computer, what kind of a PC do you really need for trading? Because a lot of people, they think that they can get away with just a laptop, and for a beginner, any laptop will be fine as long as, it's not a really old one with, like an old Windows or something. But for a beginner, some MacBook will be just absolutely fine with just one external screen, perhaps will be just fine. However, if you're gonna be getting into more of active trading and you want to set up something like a gazillion screens and you want to be monitoring, futures markets and all different stocks in your watch list, as well as, watching some news and, maybe doing some trading statistics in the other screen. And then actually, when you're trading actively, that's the reason why you need so many screens, because you might wanna, keep track of everything that is going on in your portfolio and everything that you're doing while trading. And for that, you will need an ever so slightly more powerful computer. So I'll just give you a brief overview of my computer, and this is something that you can aim for. And I always recommend to, perhaps even build one yourself or buy a used one, because there is no need to go out into the store and buy yourself like a $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 PC, with 128 whatever gigabytes of RAM or something insane like that. You don't need any of that. Your computer cannot be old and rusty, but it doesn't really have to be super powerful and doesn't have to cost thousands of dollars or euro. So what I have, basically, it's quite an old one, but it still has Windows 10, so it's up to date in terms of the operating system. But the processor, for example, it's an Intel Core i5, so it's not exactly the newest one, but it gets the job done. It's 3.4 gigahertz, so also not something out of the world powerful, but it's just fine, so it works okay. And I think 3+ gigahertz will work just fine. Then your RAM will be quite important, so you might want to go for around 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is what I have. That will be just fine. 8 will do as well, but 16 is better for sure. And then of course your hard drive. So I would go for an SSD. That's what I have. And then the graphics card. It really depends on the amount of screens that you want to have. I believe I have Radeon 580 video card, but don't quote me on that. The reason why I've chosen it has 5 outputs, so I can connect directly 5 screens, and then I'm using a DisplayPort splitter to actually connect the 6 screen. So I have 6 screens in total, just having a video card that has 5 outputs. And this is absolutely fine, and you can use, a few extra DisplayPort splitters theoretically, and you could get, connect up to 8 screens to it. It depends on how many display ports it's gonna have, because I believe that HDMI will not get splitted. It will be showing the same picture, but with DisplayPort, it will be showing different image. So this is something to keep in mind, but I believe that more than 6 screens, it's a little bit overkill. 6 is just perfectly enough, because I remember when I was getting into trading, I started with just a laptop, an older one. I think I had that Alienware 17X, whatever it was called, or 16 inches, 17, it was 17 inches. And I had, first I started with just the laptop, then I had one external screen, then I added another external screen, then I finally got a PC, which is actually an old one, which is still right there. That's my initial trading computer. So the one that I have right here is the second one. When I upgraded and got it a little bit more powerful one, that one was the first I ever gotten for the purposes of trading. It's quite an old one. I don't know. It's like, I don't know how many years old. And yeah, so basically you should get yourself a video card only in terms of the amount of screens you want it to support and to show just fine image. So you don't need to go for anything crazy like 8K screen supporting in terms of the video card, or I mean, I'm not an IT guy, so I wouldn't be able to even tell you any of those crazy parameters. You don't need any of that. And the same goes for the screens. So I mean, you can go for 4K and it probably will be a good choice. But if you're getting like 5-6 screens or even 3 screens, then 4K might become very expensive. And me being a capitalist, and I always recommend everybody to be a capitalist and to save money, invest money rather than spend money on garbage that you don't need. So get yourself just 1080p screens and they are absolutely fine. Sure, when you have 4K, the candles and the lines, they might look ever so slightly better. And I've tried 4K screens, and for me, I didn't really see that very much of difference. The only thing that you might want to pay attention to, there are certain specifications, and that is something that you should research on your own in Google, for example. And those are the parameters of the screen in terms of some frequencies and some levels of some lighting and some interesting parameters I've never heard of before that actually affect your eyes. So bad, cheap screens theoretically affect your eyesight, and after 10 years you might end up wearing glasses, just like myself. I mean, I do wear glasses, and when I trade I do wear glasses, and theoretically, maybe, I don't know, maybe it is because I've, neglected the fact about some frequencies in the screens. To be honest, never thought about it, never cared about it. But that is something that some of my students have told me about, the ones that understand the difference between those screens and layers. And so this is the only thing that you can actually research when it comes to the screens, and perhaps get yourself a screen that has that correct frequency which is better for your eyes in general. But when it comes to the quality, 1080p will be absolutely fine. And I have two of these middle ones are 32-inch screens, upper ones are 23 inches, so 32, 23, and on the sides, each of them, both of these side ones are 27-inch screens. So once again, 32 inches, 23 inches, and 27 inches. So I mean, I just structured it in this way because it's the most convenient for me, and that's how I like it. And I used to have a third 32-inch screen just for the purpose of how I had my trading set out and all the layout and stuff. So it really depends on you. You might as well get yourself the same size of the screens. It's up to you. Some people like to keep them symmetrical and identical, from an aesthetic point of view. I mean, I never cared about it, but it's if this is your fetish and this is something that you're into, or you have OCD or whatever it's called, then I mean, you can go for whatever you want. So you can have them all different sizes, just increasing as they go. So it's really up to you. But yeah, so in terms of the PC, i5 3.4 SSD, 16 GB RAM, an okay video card that supports a few screens, and that's it. The most important thing really in the world of trading is the internet. And that's the big problem with laptops. It's sometimes some of the Wi-Fi's are okay, the super powerful and super strong Wi-Fi's, they will be fine, they will be okay. But most of the time you should really use a direct cable, and that's the good thing about PCs, that you can actually plug in the internet cable right into your computer, and that will give you the least amount of ping. Ping is, if you might know, it's those breaks in the frequency, those jumps, whatever. So you really should go for a stable ping, and that's something that is of most importance really when it comes to the computer. So sure, the hardware itself is important, but just as important is the internet. And the same thing goes for with trading, that half of the stuff is technical, which is super important, but then trading psychology, which theoretically has nothing to do with your actual trading, the technical aspects, but it is at least as important as the technical aspects. So the same thing goes for hardware and the actual internet, which brings you the data to your screen. The last thing is when it comes to the internet, it has to be at least 100 megabytes per second. There is no really need to have like a gigabyte or something crazy like that. 100 megabytes, 200, 300 will be just fine. The most important is you shouldn't really have any interruptions of your internet, and your provider has to be reliable. Once I had a bad internet provider, and it made me lose some money at some point because of interruptions. Sometimes, once in a blue moon, the internet will just disappear, and it just sucked ass. So that's I think even more important than the hardware, to have good, reliable internet with as low of ping as possible. All right, cheers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next videos.